Welcome to the Golfish Podcast. I'm your host, Amy Goodman. Every week on our show, we're going to bring you fascinating interviews with the families, coaches, caddies, and industry professionals of the PGA, LPGA, Champions Tour, and beyond. Subscribe now so you don't miss a minute of the action. This week, you're in for a treat with Kolby Tullier, also known as Kolby Wayne or K. Wayne. Kolby is the founder of the stable and director of sports performance at Joey D's in Jupiter, Florida. Coach K. Wayne trains some of the world's top PGA, LPGA, NFL, and MLB athletes to get them in top athletic form. In this episode, he'll tell us how he started the stable, what's next at Joey D's, and how these workouts are accessible to all, not just elite athletes. If you're interested in how golf's number ones prep for their rounds, how to train like a top athlete, and why we should all get a Whoop band, then this episode's for you. Let's get started.
Very nice to virtually meet you.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. One day it'll be in person, just not today.
I love it. I look forward to it.
So you are headed to the Players.
Yes, I'm headed to Jacksonville. We've got, we probably have 14 guys that train out of our facility in Jupiter, Florida, that is in the tournament. So I'm coming up. I've got I think I got like 6 guys in the tournament this week that I'm working with. I got Justin and Lucas Glover and Taylor Gooch and Harold Varner, Bud Colley, and that's pretty much it.
That's really cool.
And we got some other guys I got some guys that work under me that work for the facility that service guys like Joaquin Newman and Sebastian Munoz and Austin Cook. So
okay.
It'll be a busy week for us.
Yeah, it will be a very busy week for you guys. So for those of you that are listening or those people that are in our audience that are listening that may be living under a rock and not know who you are, Mr. Kolby Wayne, as Instagram may know you, tell us who you are and why people may know you in the golf world.
Well, man, it's crazy. I've never really been asked that question. But in the golf world, it's pretty self-explanatory. Like, I've had an opportunity to work with some of the best players in the world. And we've had some success with training those guys. Like Justin Thomas got the number 1 in the world, won the FedEx Cup when he and I started working a little over 3 years ago. And then just kind of like everything in general, like not only from the golf world standpoint, but just from the training world too. Like, we try to train everybody. We want everybody to have that same experience. So, like, if you or any of your listeners would come into my facility, they're going to get treated just like the Justin Thomases, the Lexi Thompsons, Michelle Weed, Jessica Korda, Lucas Glover, Brooks Koepka, Dustin Johnson. Like, they're going to be able to do the same things that those higher-end athletes that they see on TV week in and week out. They're going to be able to go through the same screening process and those same workout regimens that we're going to put those guys through. They'll have an opportunity to test that as well.
Okay, so let's be real here. These are elite athletes that you're training, and your workouts are so intimidating and look so intense online. How do you move someone from someone that is maybe athletic but not an athlete to what those guys and gals are doing? Because those workouts are tough, and they're not just they're not static workouts. I mean, you are moving multiple parts at one time. They're very dynamic. And I just look at it from a balance standpoint, and I'm like, I feel like I'm thrown off just watching them.
Well, the good thing about that is, and for that question is, everyone has a starting point, right? So even those guys that you see on my videos, like, they've all had to start from square one. So they might look good on that video, but that's usually about the 10th to 15th time that they've tried to do specific things, and I don't put the bad stuff online. So,
that's very nice of you.
What happens is like, a lot of times, like, I get the same comments from all of them, is they can't believe how hard it is, how easy it may look, but when they try to do it, is very difficult. And that's what we're trying to do. Like, I'm trying to make you, if I train you, just like if I'm training Justin Thomas, I'm trying to make you a better human. I'm trying to get you to move better. I'm trying to get you to move more dynamically. So if I can take anyone and make them move better or move the way they were meant to move, when we kind of declutterize all the dysfunction that they've done to their bodies over the years, and we start to get to move the way you want to move, and all those patterns of movement become a lot easier. So it's pretty cool because all of our bodies want to move the right way. We just kind of get in the way of it moving correctly. And
that makes sense.
Yep. So for me, I'm a real gross motor unit recruiter. That's what I call it. Those dynamic moves that you see when you look at something like balance. I might have you standing on an unstable surface, and how some people would say, well, you don't hit a golf ball on an unstable surface. Well, when you look deeper into the science and you think about proprioception and how your body's spatial awareness is, and just balance in general, when you talk about the central nervous system and how your body has to adapt to all these external factors, if I can get you to balance or do something on an unstable surface, then of course, when you're on the ground, it's going to be a lot easier because now your body's more dynamic, and you can do it on an unstable surface and you could do it on a stable surface, right? Such as the ground.
Yeah.
But also too, you got to understand, not all surfaces are stable. If you ever hit a golf ball out of a bunker, that's not a stable surface. Or if you ever hit a golf ball after a 3.5 hour rain delay, that ground's not as stable as you think it is. So for me, you got to train all aspects of it. You have to train balance. You got to have mobility, but you can't have mobility without stability. And then you can't have strength and power without either one of those. So that's why, from a program design standpoint, what we like to hang our hats on is we don't just do strength, right? Strength is easy. I can get anybody strong. That's just an adaptation to stress that I'm placing on your body. And then, of course, your body's going to adapt to that stress. And you're going to be able to move more weight. And you're going to be able to do more different things. But what we want to do is be able to control the chaos. So there's a lot of strong people that are terrible athletes, because they don't know how to control it. And they don't know how to go from one plane of motion to the next. It's complete dysfunction.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. It kind of makes me think of the like Planet Fitness commercials where they're like, I lift heavy things, where it's you can lift a lot of weight, but can you do anything with that strength? Correct.
So, and hitting a golf ball is a fine motor unit or motor sensory movement, right? So you got to think of it like, that's why I laugh, because I've got a bunch of NFL guys I train, and I train some Major League Baseball players, and I've seen some of the best athletes in the world. Now, when you put a golf club in the hand, they look like the most unathletic person you've ever seen in your life. So that just kind of goes back into the way we train and how I want to put those movements together in your program. If it's a rotary sport, then we want to rotate more. And remember, rotation's huge. Rotation's huge just for humans in general. Because when you walk, you're in rotation. And when you run, you're in rotation. And when you swim, you're in rotation. So the basic things that you may do day in and day out that you see people do all the time, they're in a form of rotation. But when we're training in a training symposium, nobody's rotating. So it's like, that's why everybody hurts their back when they're trying to back their car up before we had like the digital cameras that look behind us for us, So, so all these different things. And so for me, from a program design standpoint, I want to train you from every facet of fitness there is and just create that elite athlete out of anyone, actually.
Yeah. So you mentioned something interesting. So obviously you train MLB and NFL players. So I'm thinking of like Peterson and Larry Fitzgerald and Tony Romo. They're all football players that are also known for their golf skills. Steph Curry, NBA, known for his golf skills.
Absolutely.
Are there, I don't know if any of them train with you, but are their workout regimens different to where if someone is training with you and getting those fine motor skills, is it also reflecting on their ability to play on the field and on the court?
Well, when you look at someone like a Larry Fitzgerald or someone like Steph Curry, and you see a lot of these athletes kind of cross over into golf, because remember, golf's a lot to do with hand-eye coordination. So most of those guys, like a basketball player or a receiver that's going to run routes and stuff like that, they're going to have more in tune with their motor learning skills than the average lay person. So, but in general, when I look at, so now we get into those type of programming, like you asked, like there are programs that we do specifically for our athletes. And it goes back to what I told you before. If I'm training a football player, I want him to have foot stability. I want him to have ankle mobility. I want him to have core strength. I want him to have rotary power, because remember, we're back to that running again. I want him to be able to decelerate into his quads and open his hips up. And you talk about running routes. So that actually transfers over into a golfer, because I want a golfer to have foot stability and ankle mobility and knee stability and hip mobility. So a lot of the same things that you may see, if I was training a football player from a mobility standpoint, I might have him doing the same mobility drills that I have Justin Thomas doing, because we want your hips to be open and we want your hips to work and we want your glutes to be working. So a lot of those things. Now, granted, when you get into the specificity of the sport, when we talk about sport specific, then I'm going to change a bunch of dynamic stuff up from a football player compared to a golfer, right? So where you're going to see me do more things from a golf postural standpoint compared to a route running standpoint. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
But when we talk about agility and stuff, I might do a lot of the cone drills that I do with my football guys that I make Justin Thomas do, like the lateral jumping, the lateral bounding, because I'll try to get Larry Fitzgerald to run a route to be able to cut to his right. Well, I want the same thing for Justin Thomas. So I'm doing lateral bounding. I want him to feel his right load and unload into his left side. So from a specific standpoint, a lot of those things does have some crossover.
I find it so interesting because, I mean, depending on obviously what articles you look at and what data you look at, Tiger was really one of the first golfers to get into fitness for golf. Before it was like, you don't really need it. You just really needed to practice the game. And you didn't need to have all of these, like this time in the gym and things like that. And then you saw Rory make some really big changes to his fitness. And it did for a while negatively affect his game. He really bulked up and his game kind of fell off for a while. And now you're seeing Bryson do it. How do you think that whole mind shift changed for people to say training in something other than how to hit the ball is important?
Yeah, well, my whole thing with that is there are a number of ways that you can train the body. My big thing is I'm a big functional guy. So I'm going to get you stronger, but I'm not going to sacrifice the mobility or stability to be able to get you stronger. If that kind of makes sense to kind of like put it into it. And Tiger changed the game because basically there was like, if you looked at a pie chart, the golf, it used to basically be like a mental coach, a swing coach, and practice. You know what I mean? And then Tiger came onto the scene and goes, well, I'll do way more than that. So if you look at Tiger's pie chart, he turned into like, there was a fitness part, there was a nutritionist standpoint, there was a recovery standpoint. I mean, like that pie went from 3 pieces to 6 to 10 pieces.
Right.
And that's what Tiger brought into the forefront. So, but when you look at these guys, when they train and different things like that too, like it has a lot to do with their program design. And I don't think you would lose. And my big thing is I'm not going to let you do anything till you show me that your body can do it with specificity, with that type of technique and things like that. Because you take somebody like Justin Thomas. When I started with Justin Thomas, Justin was about 145 pounds. Now he's about 165 pounds. You know, but it wasn't like this big, but he gained that weight over a 2.5 year period.
Yeah, right.
You know, so there's right ways of doing things, there's wrong ways of doing things. So when you try to do it in such a short amount of time, then I think the body's not, from a neuro standpoint, it's not going to be able to adapt more efficiently throughout that process. And that's because if I put 20 pounds of muscle on you that you've never had before in a 3-month period, then you're, from a neuromotor unit standpoint and from a central nervous, the way your body just used to move, right? Then it's completely different.
That's really interesting.
So it's heavier.
Yeah.
You're heavier, but the way you swing is going to feel different because you're heavier in your arms and you're heavier in your legs and you're heavier in your top side, you know, so all that has an effect on the body. So when you do it through consistency and the proper training the right way, then it's just a win-win, because what I tell people all the time, that club does not move till you pick it up. So for anybody to say that golf doesn't have to do with 100% of how your body moves is factually not true. That's a false statement. You can't say that. That's why in the old days, men would tell guys, don't walk in the gym. That was like the devil, because it changed your body and then that would mess your swing up. But the club doesn't move till you pick it up. So if I take you and we realize that you've got no hip mobility on your right side, and when you're having a lesson from your teacher, you can't get deep enough into your right side to load the club properly. Well, my job is to make sure you can get deep enough into your right side. So you come to me, I'll fix your hip imbalance and weakness. I get your glutes firing, I get your knee stable, and all of a sudden now your hip goes from rotating 10 degrees to rotating 60 degrees. And then you go back to your swing coach and he goes, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Now you can get to your right side. Now he can teach you something else. So we want to work as a team with the swing coach and anything like that to find out what he needs from your body to be able to make you a better golfer. And we've had great success with doing that, working with coaches like Claude Holman and Butch and, Tony Rogerio, who worked with Lucas Glover last year, and just different things like that. So we work hand in hand with these swing coaches. We want to make sure it's a team aspect and everybody's doing their part.
Yeah, it's really interesting because we've had a couple of coaches on, and they've talked about how everyone really has to be in sync for anything to work. And I feel like as non-athletes, we tend to say, okay, we have maybe a golf coach that we're seeing or a golf pro that we're seeing, and then we have maybe a kinesiologist and a nutritionist, but we're not really sharing any of the information across it. So it's like we all need to be more open, even just as rec golfers, to communicating exactly what it is, because you, just like you said, you could be training me on something and it could be great, but then just like you said, a swing coach is working on something over here and it's not getting better, but something else might be getting better, but they don't know.
Correct. And that's the most important thing about this whole thing is like, I can't, because my job is to give that swing coach a blank canvas where he can actually teach you the golf swing. If he's teaching you lessons, and I think what happens is if he's trying to just stop you from hitting it right, so he's just going to give you some type of drill to be able to help you not hit it right. But technically, when you look at it a little bit deeper, it's because your body doesn't move correctly. And if I can get your body to start moving correctly, then he doesn't have to aim you way left, make you feel like you got to swing as far left as you can to stop hooking it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Kolby, you obviously have just an insane amount of knowledge in your brain. How did you even get into sports training and everything that you do right now?
Well, that's crazy. It's a crazy journey for me. I think at an early age, I realized that the human body was just different. I looked at it different. I was actually born with a birth defect and I wasn't supposed to walk. So I was born with the worst case of clubfoot that the doctors had ever seen. They told my parents that I'd probably have a 70% chance that I'd have to be in a wheelchair or use a walker for the rest of my life. So for me, I wanted to learn as much about the body as I could. And then I was into working out. I played baseball my whole life. And then I started out in cardiac rehab, went to college, started there, and then got into physical therapy. And then I was just kind of like going through the motions. I was working at the hospital and working at a PT clinic, physical therapy clinic, but I also had a job doing some personal training at a local gym. And I just fell in love with it. I was actually, funny story is I was actually going to school to be an optometrist, an eye doctor. And when I got that job at that health club, I changed my major to my father was not.
It's a little bit of a change.
because my father wasn't that happy being the state trooper and military man that he is. He thought I was going to be a PE coach. And I was like, hey, man, I'm going to do it because I love it. And this is what I want to do. So, and they, of course, my family supported me. And then when I got out, I started in cardiac rehab, did the physical therapy line, but I've always been in the gym. So I opened my studio when I was 22 years old.
Wow. And where did you open your first studio? Because it wasn't in Jupiter.
No, it was in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Okay.
So I opened my first studio. I called it Body Mechanics Personal Fitness. And that's where the birth of the stable started. So I'm about 5 years. I had my studio out there for 15 years. And then I basically just started calling it the stable because that's what I wanted. I wanted a bunch of athletes, and I compared them to like race horses. So that's where the birth of the stable name came, and it's taken off, and here we are today. Like I just did that 15 years, and I just basically grew my business. Everything was by word of mouth. I really didn't do any advertising or anything like that. It was just like I trained you, you really liked it, so you told 10 people.
And so how did you start training elite athletes? Did that happen when you moved to Florida, or were you doing that at the stable in Baton Rouge too?
No, yeah, it was in Baton Rouge. I cut my teeth with athletes when I got involved with some LSU athletes and had some big success with those guys. And they wound up turning pro, and then from there, like I said, it's a small world. Everybody just kind of like word of mouth started talking about it. So I got more and more athletes from football players. I got into the league, and then baseball players at LSU that I got into the league. And then I started with my first golfer was John Peterson, who won the national championship for LSU. And then we started working together. And the first year we started working together, he got his tour card, and he almost won the U.S. Open, and he made it to the Masters. And then that's all I need to have.
Yeah.
Yep. And then it just took off from there.
Well, you have just endeared yourself to a lot of our Cincinnati listeners. We are based in Cincinnati, and we are really hoping that we get a pretty good kid from LSU this year for the NFL draft. So let's see what Joe Burrows can do to get us out of this rut we've been in for a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I think you guys are going to do fine. Like I've had a chance to work with some guys that were out there with Jeremy Hill and those guys that play for Cincinnati. So my LSU connection is still pretty strong. I still get a bunch of those guys. I'll have some guys come in after the players in a couple of weeks after the combine, and I'll get those guys ready for their pro days and stuff.
That's
like that.
so
too.
Cool.
So we're rocking and rolling out here in Jupiter. We're gonna, so we're rolling.
Is everything based in person? Like, is everyone coming to you, or do you also do remote training?
No, we do remote training now. We just opened up a digital platform where we do actually do online sessions from a remote standpoint, where we either do it like in a Skype type thing or a FaceTime thing, where we actually do digital stuff like that. We're getting ready to launch our digital platform called the Hit It Great platform. So I just uploaded 800 of my own personal exercises to that library. So now we're going to be able to go from a digital standpoint where I can get to you in Cincinnati and build your program. You log on to that site, and then you hit a video and it shows you how to do the exercises. So I'm basically right there with you.
That's so cool. I feel like that is such a, I mean, obviously people are starting to do it more and more, but it is just obviously the way of the future because unfortunately not everyone can get to Jupiter, but I feel like everyone wants a trainer, especially like you.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I wanted to do it because, I've done it for so long on different platforms and nobody ever had my exercise. So, I mean, I would wind up just filming an exercise and sending it to my clients anyway. So me and Joy finally sat down last year and had a meeting, and I was like, man, we just need to do this because now we can get to everybody. It'll be global now because I work with kids from Paris and different areas of the world and Spain and stuff like that. So from soccer players to football players to golfers, I mean, we do it all. So now this is going to be an opportunity. It's going to be a game changer for us. So we'll be able to do that from an app format. So we'll be on the lookout for that coming out in a couple months. We're going to go ahead and release it to the public. And it's going to be a game changer for us.
So you talked about Joey, who is the owner in Jupiter of the gym you are with now. Tell us about him, how you two got connected, and what drove you to a pretty significant change from owning your own gym and being in Baton Rouge to now being this very known figure. I mean, especially in social media. I mean, you have quite a following in social media, and kind of moving the stable down to Florida.
Yeah, I mean, Joey's great, man. Like I've always known Joey and respected him. He's had the number one player in the world for a long time. So when you're out there and you're trying to be the best at what you are, you kind of look around and see who's the best at what they do, and it intrigues you, right? It intrigues you. It gravitates to you. So I was out on the road. Me and him we would have dinners and have lunches while we were on the road together with our guys on the PGA Tour. And I had some opportunities come up in the state of Florida, like in South Florida, especially with my NFL guys. And then I was actually going to do some stuff maybe in Orlando. So I had some meetings and stuff set up. So I basically, while I was having my meetings, I was thinking about making a move from Baton Rouge. I was just exploring all my options and things, and I stopped in Jupiter one night during all my meeting, my travel, and Joey and I had dinner. You know, we just kind of like sitting there, goes, man, we should partner up and we should really do this thing. And I was like, you know what, that sounds like a good idea. Let's do it. He's like, are you being serious? I'm like, yeah, man, I'm dead serious. So I literally flew home, went to the rest of my meetings, you know, honored those things. And then I flew home and I basically sold the rest of my business out. And I was on the road 2 weeks later, driving to Jupiter, Florida when I was sold. Just taking a chance. And then I started with Joey there, and I became like the director of sports performance at his facility, and me and him partnered up, and I assumed that role there, and just kind of like really changed the culture, and then we've taken off. I mean, we grew at like 135% in the last 3 years in a row, which is unheard of. So, I went from, you know, being DJ, being the only tour player in that facility. Now we service 25 PGA Tour players out of that facility, and I have 11 girls on the LPGA Tour that I train out of there too.
That's incredible. So Joey, from my understanding and just seeing Joey online, he was known as a golf trainer. Is that correct?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yep. So when you came in, was that when y'all turned more of like the multi-sport?
Yeah, that's when we became the Joey D Golf Sports Training Center.
Okay.
So it used to be just Joey D Golf, and then we kind of broadened that horizon because we wanted to let people know that we were going to do more. We're open to more than just that. You know, it was kind of like one of those things where we didn't want to just lock ourselves out.
Right.
You know, we wanted to make sure we opened doors to anyone who wanted to try and come and do it. And that's where I kind of came in, and we kind of did a little culture shift there. But now it's great. So now at any point in time, you have 5 NFL players in there grinding with 5 PGA Tour players and 6 LPGA Tour players. So, I mean, it's a great atmosphere. And then we're looking at expanding already. We're basically busting out of the seams. So we're probably going to be we've actually just finished with the plans. We're going to build us a big 25,000 square foot facility out in Jupiter that's going to have the turf.
That's incredible. So do you sometimes walk into the gym and you see 5 NFL players and 5 PGA golfers and some LPGA thrown in there, and you're like, what? How did my life get here?
No, I do that every day. I do it every day, man. I was a small town kid with big city dreams, and I just put my head down and worked as hard as I could, you know, and basically hard work takes care of itself, right? I mean, that's what I tell guys all the time when I do interviews. I was like, man, what's one thing about these pro athletes that you know that nobody really knows about? And the biggest thing that's the same with all of them, the most successful ones are the ones that work the hardest. There's no substitute for it. You know, I can be with Dustin Johnson. He'll win a tournament, and we're in the gym at 8 o'clock in the morning on Monday.
Wow.
I can be with Justin Thomas, and after he signs all the flags, does all the media, we get in at midnight, and we're in the gym at 9 o'clock on the next Monday. When they got every reason to just kind of relax because they just won, like they want to work harder because that desire to be the best and to continue to win is what separates.
So you mentioned like DJ and JT. JT has been a very consistent player for the past handful of years. Mm-hmm. DJ has been a little bit more inconsistent, but I feel like he was so consistent, and then he had that injury at the Masters a few years ago when he fell. How do you get a player from a non-sports injury? How do you get someone like DJ back to where he is now, where he was a handful of years ago before that injury? Because he fell off the map for a little bit. I mean, obviously still played good golf, but wasn't playing nearly as much as he had been. How do you make that transition back to help them rehab and continue to build the strength and dynamics that they need to be the number one player in the world?
Yeah, I mean, that's the big thing. It's all about the consistency, right? So even when you go through something where you have an injury like that with DJ, you almost kind of like you have to go through that period of time where you got to go through the rehab side first before you get back to the dynamic and the real strenuous parts of the workouts. And the hardest part with athletes is pulling the reins on them.
Mm-hmm.
It's like slowing them down enough to where it's a process. It's a process with anything. So it's just like becoming number one in the world. Like there's a process that we got to stick to, and we can't deviate from that. And it might take a little longer, but the journey, like I tell them all the time, you got to embrace the journey. And there's beauty in the struggle, so as much as you're struggling, like we got to get through it. And I'm going to push you through these moments where you feel like you're just never going to get better, but you are. And then once you buy into it, we've had success with all those guys getting them back from injuries and things like that. I mean, just like with Justin last year when Justin broke his wrist, when he hurt his wrist at the Masters last year, I mean, he was out. I mean, he missed 5 weeks straight, and it was just like, he was like, you think I can do this? And of course he was talking to some more of these specialists or whatever. We can get you here. I said, look, man, it's a broken bone. It's 6 to 8 weeks. I don't care what they're telling you. Like, your bone has to heal first before we do anything.
Right.
And he, it's frustrating for him, but he bought into it. And then look, we come back and he won in Chicago.
Yeah. It's crazy to watch. So we also need to add, outside of all of the training that you do, motivational speaker and realist to your resume too.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I get. That's what I do most of it is. I'm as real as it can be. Like, I'm not here to just make up all these stories and tell you what you want to hear. Like, we're going to do it. And if I tell you that you're doing terrible, you're doing terrible.
Right. Like we're going to work through it, but you're not doing great right now.
Yeah, you got to do it. There's beauty in the struggle. Just keep going. Scars are cool.
So you are, we just obviously talked about this at the very beginning. You're on your way to the Players right now. You guys have 14 players out there. When you go to a tournament, what is your role at the tournament?
So in the tournament, if I got these 6 guys, we do mobility work every day. So we do pre-round stuff every morning. So in the morning, I'll get them ready before they get out to go on the course to practice, to do whatever they want to do. And then after that, so once I get done practicing, like when I get there today, in about 20 minutes, I'm going to be training. So I got guys scheduled already to train. So Taylor Gooch is training today, Bud College training today, Justin Thomas training. So I'll be training probably till about 7:30 tonight. And then after 7:30 comes, then we start treatment. So I bring my stretch table and I got the cups and all that stuff like that. And we go through some myofascial release stuff, techniques, and then we'll do some active isolated assisted stretching and things like that too to get them ready. And then it starts all over again tomorrow.
Yeah.
So
do you typically stay like Monday through Wednesday, or are you there the entire week of a round?
No, we're here. I'm here the entire week. I'm here till Sunday till somebody holds the trophy. So that's the goal every week. So because every morning we do pre-round stuff. So from now till Thursday, we're doing workouts. We're doing different things like that. And even on Thursday, so depending on what time their tee times are, and we listen to the body. So I try to get them we do at least 3 to 4 training sessions a week. So we're training during the tournament week. Yep. And then we do recovery stuff at the end of every round when the tournament starts, and we all get ready in the trailer. So like I got them, they get to the course, they'll eat, and then they'll meet me in the trailer. We'll do their dynamic warm up, which takes about 15 to 20 minutes. And then they walk onto the putting green or the range and they're ready to go.
That's crazy. So your schedule is equally as crazy as any professional athlete. When do you recover? What does your recovery look like?
It's crazy. I train, so if I got a little gap, I'll jump in and get my workout in too, and I recover just like my athletes. I got my Normatex, and I got different things like that, and I'm rolling my calves out at night and doing I do my mobility work too. So because I'm on the go too. I'm rocking and rolling from like 4 a.m. till 10 o'clock at night. So nutrition, recovery, and me training my own self to be able to keep up the schedule is hugely important for us on this side of it too, because for us, like, we're always working. Like, you know, like it's because I can have a rain out where we got to redo warm ups. I can do, it can be, and if I got a different wave, I'm gonna have 3 guys in the morning wave, 3 guys in the evening wave. So I get the 3 guys ready in the morning. When they're done, I'm getting the other guys ready to get out. When I send the last guys out, the first guys are coming off the course, and we start. It just doesn't stop. It's awesome. I love it.
So now with the PGA Tour just having no break at all, I mean, realistically, no break at all. They have like a week off in September. A lot of guys will take a decent amount of time off around like between Thanksgiving and New Year's because some of them won't go over to play in Asia and things like that. Do you follow their same type of schedule? And if so, how do you also balance that with the NFL and MLB players that you're coaching right now? Because MLB is picking up with spring training right now.
Oh yeah. So I basically just balance it out. It's crazy. It's an amazing juggling act that I do yearly. But like so this week, I mean, with the PGA, with the Players Championship, like I'll do this week home, and next week I'll be home, and I'll be with my baseball guys, my football guys, and then I'll do that for the next 2 weeks, and then I'll go out again with my PGA guys.
Okay.
Because like especially with my golfers too, I want them to be able to do their homework. I mean, it's so important for us to be able to get our athletes to be able to take care of their business and not feel as dependent on us as they need to take ownership in their own stuff. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to get them to where I can send them their workouts and they get it done, and they'll be able to see what it's like on those weeks, and they'll be able to get it done. I mean, that's what it's all about. I want you to know your body so well that it gets easier for you more and more.
How many weeks a year are you traveling?
I travel about 25 weeks a year.
That's significantly less than I was anticipating you saying. It's still a lot, but I thought it was a lot more.
Yeah, I do 25 weeks just on a PGA tour.
Just on PGA Tour, okay.
I do another 10 weeks probably on my other stuff. So about 35 weeks.
Okay, I'd have to say I was like, I feel like listening to this schedule, 25 seems kind of low. That makes sense. Okay.
25 weeks there. And then you throw all the other stuff in too, like my collegiate sports where I do consulting for colleges and do camps and stuff like for ball players and so I'm rocking and rolling. If I'm away from home, I'm probably away from home for probably about 40 weeks a year. It's crazy. Yeah, it's pretty nuts.
Well, I want to go back to something you said too, because again, I'm going to go back to JT because you obviously train him, and he is very public about his training regimen and what he does, and he's featured on your Instagram a lot. But he also wears the Whoop band. Do you guys look at that for his recovery when you're looking at he's like, yeah, I'm not really sure if I got a good night's sleep last night or how recovered I am. Do you look at that data too?
I sure do. Yeah, I want to look and see how his recovery is. I want to see how his sleep is. The strain that you see on the Whoop band and stuff like that, it could be a little misleading, but I like to gauge it from a recovery standpoint. And I can get more information. What I enjoy about it more than anything is the information on the sleep, where I can see how long he's in deep sleep, how long he's in REM sleep, how long he's in bed in general, like how long he's awake, his light sleep compared to deep sleep. And that'll teach you a lot about from a recovery standpoint. And then those guys know the difference too. If they haven't weren't hydrated enough, it affects everything. So I like it from a measuring standpoint to see how that responds to the body. But I enjoy it. I like the Whoop band. It's pretty cool. As
a non-elite athlete, do you think there's a benefit there, or do you think it's you can kind of do the same thing with maybe some other sort of sleep trainer or sleep device and monitoring your water and things like that, but still think those things are very valuable for a non-elite athlete to be watching on a daily basis?
I love it. I love it for anybody. I love it for any human on this planet to be able to keep data on themselves. And what it does is it creates a log. It creates some accountability. It kind of lets you know how much you're moving compared to non-moving. A lot of people think they move a lot more than what they really do.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
So for me, I think it's a great instrument to have because then you can see. And what it does, it might motivate you. If you come home and you look at your strain on your band and your strain's under 5 and you only burn 1,100 calories, you might be more in depth to get outside and maybe go walk a mile or jump on a bike or do a Peloton session or do something like that, and then it just knocks it out. So it starts to create that consistency that we want in life.
That's such a good way to look at it. You might want to talk to them about being a spokesperson.
Yeah, I know, right? I know. I can do it all.
Right, in your spare time. It's fine.
Yep.
So obviously you talked about the new facility, 25,000 square feet, indoor turf. What else is next for you? What else is next for you and Joey D's and some of your players that's coming up in the next 6 to 12 months that we should keep an eye out on?
Well, man, we just, like I said, we want to launch this digital platform, and we just want to be at the forefront of really changing the game, like changing the fitness industry, changing the way people look at fitness industry. Not the smoke and mirrors, just real fact-based scientific data that we can put out there for the public to be able to ingest and understand that it's a process. And if you buy into this process, that you're going to be successful no matter what you do. I mean, we can take someone and you can really look at it just from an overall health benefit standpoint. It's going to make you better than anything. If you're a banker, then be the best banker you can be. It's less sick days. It's going to be more productive work days that you're going to be able to do. So that's our big goal. That's our goal I see in the future. We're going to launch our book coming out in June. We'll have that digital platform that's coming out where we're giving people a peek behind the doors of hanging the banner and things like that, and why I came up with that catchphrase and stuff, and what it means to us, paying homage to the athletes like the gladiators in the Roman Colosseum. That's why we hang the banners in there, where we show the success. And like when you see them holding the trophy on Sunday, it's hours and hours of work that they've put in to get to that point.
Right.
And then just continue to build on what we're building, continue to do things the right way, and hopefully be able to help some people along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I know everyone will be very excited to see this digital platform, especially just like you said, people across the country and across the globe to have more access to this type of training. I think there is such an interest right now in the accessibility that we are receiving as a world to trainers like you, nutritionists that are out there that train and work with some of these top athletes and making it, it's not just about an elite athlete anymore. It's like everyone can do this and everyone has this potential. So I think it's super exciting to see just the accessibility that we will all have soon, especially with your digital platform.
Correct. And that's what we want. It's going to be awesome. Like that's our goal to creating it. That's why I wanted to do it, because I wanted us to be that information that is going to be able to get to the global masses. We want to be able to get everybody this information and be able to be successful.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I am very excited to see where everyone goes. I would love to play as we wrap up. I know you have just a few minutes before you get out on the course with your players. I'd love to play a quick 9 with you. Are you ready?
Sure.
Awesome. So just say the first thing that comes to your mind. What is your must-visit restaurant in Jupiter?
Ooh, Two Vines. It's a sushi restaurant. Two Vines.
Down for that. That sounds amazing. What is your go-to mobility move?
Go-to mobility move is hip circles with sliders.
Okay. All right. I'm sure we can find some videos of those on Instagram, so we'll make sure to link to those so everyone knows what you're talking about.
Absolutely. Yep.
If you didn't do fitness training, what would be your dream job?
I probably would be a heart surgeon.
Oh, all right. So you were still staying in medicine and helping
Absolutely.
people. Okay. What's your favorite movie?
Ooh, man, that's good. Well, what kind of movie? Just in general?
Yeah, just whatever you like. Is there a movie that like anytime it's on TV, you're like, gotta stop what I'm doing. This is it.
The Batman trilogy, the one that Christopher Nolan did.
Okay.
Those 3, yeah.
Okay. Are you an early bird or a night owl?
I am an early bird.
Good for you. We need more of those in the world.
I love sunrises.
Oh, okay. So it's a good excuse to get out then. Do you prefer to watch TV or read a book?
Oh, I'm a TV watcher. I'm a binger.
Oh,
I like
you and my husband will get along great.
My downtime. Yep, my downtime. I'm usually, and then it becomes a contest where I want to finish it. So it's crazy. My wife just wants to choke. My wife wants to choke me, but.
What are you binging right now?
I'm watching The Outsider on HBO.
Okay. All right. We'll have to check that out. Not that he needs any more ideas of what to watch. Netflix has his number. I'll get an email and it'll say, Rich, we think you'll like this movie or series or something. And he doesn't even see the email. And the next night he'll have it on. I'm like, they know you. Yep. Like they know you better than anyone else.
Right. The computers, they know you.
Yeah, exactly. Do you prefer a beach, ocean, or a mountain vacation?
I'm a beach guy.
Okay. Makes sense. You're in Jupiter.
Yep. Yep. I love it. I moved to paradise. I moved to where I used to vacation. So
Oh, that's so nice. That is so nice. What can't you live without in the gym?
I cannot live without a Bosu ball.
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one. And then what is your drink of choice? Alcoholic or non-alcoholic? I don't, some people drink, some people don't. So whatever your go-to is.
I like Propel. That's my go-to.
Okay. All right.
The
Awesome.
Propel Fitness Water. That's my drink.
Good.
Any flavor.
Any flavor. All right. Well, Kolby, It has been an absolute pleasure chatting with you. Where can people go to continue the conversation with you online, follow all the great things you're doing, and see what is next with the stable and Joey D Sports?
Yeah, I mean, they can find our website at joeydgolf.com. Or they can go to Instagram and they can follow me on Instagram at Kolby Wayne. And then on Twitter, my Twitter handle is KWayne Fitness.
Okay. Awesome. Well, like I said, Kolby, it has been an absolute pleasure. Cannot wait to meet you out on tour. I'll connect with you to see when you will be out there and when we'll be at our next golf tournament.
Perfect. Sounds great. I look forward to it. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And hey, Kolby, I have one quick question. How do you pronounce your last name?
My last name is Tullier. So think of the number 2 and just scream yay, like the Cincinnati Bengals.
I was like, being from Louisiana, I feel like I'm going to butcher this if I don't ask. So I'm glad I asked.
No, yep. So, the number 2 and just scream yay like
cool.
you have to.
Love it. Love it. Well, we will be
Awesome.
we will be cheering on all of your players this week. Good luck.
I appreciate it so much. Thanks again.
Thanks. Bye. Thanks for joining me this week. Let's continue the conversation online. You can find me at Golfish Podcast or at Miss Amy Goodman on Instagram. See you next week.